Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out Is Pluto a Planet by CGP Grey. I'm quite sure that officially it's considered to not be a planet, although there definitely are people who still think it is. So let's see what Grey thinks. Is it a planet or not?
Pluto, planet or not? Before we can answer this question, we need to know what the word planet is for.
What is a planet?
And that takes us back to the ancient Greeks, who called Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the Moon, and the Sun planets. Basically, if it moved across the sky and was bright, it was a planet. This is a terrible start for the word because
and the
one,
moon
it excludes
isn't
Earth
a
from the
planet.
list, and two, it groups wildly different things together. But the Greeks couldn't know how different the moon was from Saturn because the best technology they had to observe the universe was sadly limited.
Yep.
It would take several thousand years until the industrious Dutch made the first telescopes and astronomy became much more interesting. Astronomers could now confidently rearrange the solar system, an elegant scientific advance that no one could possibly object to, and reclassify its parts, dropping the Sun and the Moon from the list of planets and adding Earth. Now, if it orbited the Sun, it was a planet. As time went on and telescopes got better and better, each new century brought with it the discovery of a new planet. Which brings us to this
Uranus?
solar system, 9 planets orbiting 1 star. Looking
There's
at this
no
model
good
makes
way to
people
pronounce
wonder,
it.
why do astronomers want to ditch Pluto? The problem is pictures like this in textbooks are lies. Well, not lies exactly, but unhelpful. They give the impression that the planets are similar-ish in size and evenly-ish spaced,
Which they
but
are
the
not.
reality couldn't be more different. Here, dear Terrans, is our home planet Earth, and this is Jupiter next to it at the correct scale. Rather bigger than you probably thought. If we take this diagram and adjust for the correct sizes of the planets, it looks like this. Unless you're watching the video in full-screen HD mode, you might not be even able to see Pluto.
Yeah, Pluto is almost invisible.
And Pluto
It's
is
that
the
small.
smallest by far. But it's not just small for a planet, it's also smaller than 9 moons. Triton, Europa, our own moon, Io, Callisto, Titan, and Ganymede. Even if you show the...
Well, honestly, if even our own moon is bigger than Pluto, then yeah, I agree. Pluto is not a planet. I mean, you gotta at least be bigger than the moon. Our moon, at least.
correct relative sizes, the distances are still a problem. Think about it. If Jupiter was this close to Earth, it wouldn't look like a
Yeah,
dot
they're
in the
way
night sky.
further
It would
away.
be rather
That much is
overwhelming.
obvious.
So it must be really far away, which makes drawing it to scale rather a challenge. If you want the length of a piece of paper to represent the distance from Mercury to Pluto, then giant Jupiter would be the size of a dust mite on that page, and Pluto a bacterium. But excluding Pluto from the Planet Club just for being tiny and small isn't reason enough, and quickly brings out the Pluto defenders. In order to understand what Pluto really is, we need to first discuss a planet you've never heard of, Ceres. Back in 1801, astronomers found a new planet in the huge gap between Mars and Jupiter. It was a small planet, but they loved it anyway and named it Ceres. The next year, astronomers found another small planet in the same area and named it Pallas. A few years later, they found a third one, Juno, and then, funnily enough, a fourth one, Vesta. And for several decades, children learned the 11 planets of the solar system. But astronomers kept finding more and more of these objects and became increasingly uncomfortable calling them planets because they were much more like each other than the planets on either side. So a new category was born. Asteroids in the asteroid belt. And the tiny planets were relabeled, which is why you've never heard of them. And it was a good decision too, as astronomers have now found hundreds of thousands of asteroids, which would be a lot for a kid to memorize if they were all still planets. Back to Pluto.
Memorize every single asteroid.
Making it the then 9th planet. First estimates put Pluto about the size of Neptune, but with more observations that was revised down and down and down. While Pluto shrank, astronomers started to find other similar objects orbiting in the same zone. Sound familiar? While school kids kept memorizing the 9 planets, some astronomers grew uneasy about including Pluto because the size estimates continued to shrink. They learned that Pluto is made mostly of ice, and they continue to find lots and lots of icy objects at the edge of the solar system just like Pluto. This problem could be ignored as long as no one found an ice ball bigger than Pluto, which is exactly what happened in 2006
maybe not
with the
asteroids,
discovery
but you know.
of Eris. Once again, astronomers recategorized the solar system and grouped these distant objects, including Pluto, into a new area called the Kuiper Belt. And that's the story of Pluto, a miscategorized platinum area called the Kuiper Belt. And
Kuiper. Why is Kupier spelled as Kuiper instead of Kupier? Okay, no, that sounds dumb.
And that's the story of Pluto, a miscategorized planet that finally found its home, just like Ceres. But this story is really less about Pluto than it is about realizing the word planet isn't very helpful. The first 4 planets are nothing at all like the next 4, so it's even a little weird to group these 8 together, which is why they often aren't and are separated into terrestrial planets and gas giants. And now that we have telescopes that can see planets around stars not our own, and we've found rogue planets drifting in empty space, and brown dwarfs, objects that blur the very line between planet and star, the word planet becomes even less clear. So as we increase our knowledge of the universe, the category of planet will probably continue to evolve, or possibly fall out of favor entirely. But for the time being, the best way to categorize the stuff in our solar system is into 1 star, 8 planets, 4 terrestrial, 4 gas giants, the asteroid belt, and the distant Kuiper belt home to Pluto.
Or maybe we can just avoid all of that and say there's a bunch of things floating in space and that's it. Some are bigger, some are smaller, there's way more smaller ones than big ones, and it's all going around the very big one, the sun. I'm not actually sure what I learned in elementary school, if it was 8 or 9 planets. I think at the time I was in elementary, they already had 8, and Pluto was already not considered a planet. But this was more than 10 years ago, so I have no idea. It's been a decade. But yeah, Pluto's not a planet. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions, check out this video right here. And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.